wisdom,
prudentia,
justice,
justitia,
temperance,
temperantia,
courage.
fortitudo.
Applying ancient philosophy to modern life, this is the Sunday Stoic.
Welcome to the Sunday Stoic Podcast, a podcast that explores the ancient philosophy of Stoicism and my attempt to apply it to everyday life. My name is Steve, coming to you from Conway, Arkansas. So you are here. What does that say about you? Likely it says you're a thoughtful person. You're a person who wants to explore life, its meaning, to get the most out of it as possible, and hopefully to help your fellow human beings in the process. At least that's my assumption. This week we continue our exploration of the Meditations of Marcus Aurelius, and there are several themes we see throughout the writings of Marcus Aurelius. Just a few off the top of my head: the impermanence of things, the ever-changing world we live in, the changing of the universe, and how change is the only thing that's constant. Reminders of death and the importance of using the life that we have. Marcus also talks about ways to get through the day when dealing with people that don't think like he does, how he has to accept that things aren't going to be easy. Those are a few of the themes we see. And Marcus's journals are a way that it wasn't him writing to himself like, "Dear diary, today I saw the cutest girl." No, it wasn't. That's not the kind of journal this was. This was a philosophical practice. And so sometimes it reads, when you read it, sounds a little morbid. You might think, man, I don't know if I want to be a Stoic if this is how you go around all day. But remember, this is part of a philosophical practice. So in this week's episode, he's going to remind himself of the impermanence of things and then ways he should act in relation to the fact that things are impermanent. Things that he should value or not value based on the fact that life, the body, etc. are impermanent things. And then he's going to chastise himself a little bit as well, saying, hey, you could have had the tools to deal with your problems today, but you chose to be good tomorrow and not good today. So let's just have a quick reading from the Meditations of Marcus Aurelius. The Meditations of Marcus Aurelius, Book 8, number 21 and 22. Turn the body inside out, and see what kind of thing it is, and when it has grown old, what kind of thing it becomes, and when it is diseased. Short-lived are both the praiser and the praised, and the rememberer and the remembered. And all this in a nook of this part of the world, and not even here do all agree, no, not anyone with himself, and the whole earth too is a point. Attend to the matter which is before you, whether it is an opinion, or an act, or a word. You suffer this justly, for you choose rather to become good tomorrow than to be good today. So in his journal, the Meditations today, Marcus is telling himself to remind himself about the body, his human body. What kind of a thing it is. Turn it inside out. What does it look like when the body's inside out? Well, Marcus was a soldier. I'm sure some of you have been soldiers and have seen things that you might rather not have seen, but you understand. If you've ever dissected something in biology class, you know what it's like inside of a body, even if it's not a human body. But what is it? Okay, it's a series of organs, blood, nerves, bone, various parts put together. And then what kind of thing it is, and when it has grown old, what kind of things it becomes, and when it is diseased. So reminding himself that, okay, this is not a fixed position. The body changes, it gets old and functions change, that you become less efficient at functioning, and things ache and don't work anymore. And when disease comes in, there are tumors that form, there's illness that forms, all kinds of nasty things that we don't necessarily have to go into in graphic detail here, but the body is not permanent, and the body is not something under your power to control. You might think it is, like I can go to the gym and exercise, but hey, what if my heart gives out while I'm running? That's not in my power. What if I just don't have the physique to be the next Arnold Schwarzenegger? Well, that's not in my power. Then he reminds himself that short-lived are both the praiser and the praised. This comes up throughout Marcus Aurelius' writings. Of course, he's emperor, so he gets praised all the time. But we all seek this praise thing, right? I post a video on YouTube. Oh, I got a comment. Is it praise, or is it someone saying that sucked? So we're actually kind of addicted to this praise. It's how cell phones work. Oh, I got a notification. Oh, I got a notification. Ooh, I have 28 shares. Ooh, right? This is the crap we deal with, but a little different than his time, but the same dopamine chemical is causing the same desire for reward and the same basic actions. Short-lived are both the praiser and the praised. Bear in mind, anything you do will be forgotten. Everything you do will one day mean nothing. That's not to be nihilistic. It matters now. But in the grand scheme of things, it really doesn't, because one day there won't be a human being left on the planet to look at your blog post or to read your novel or to know that you walked on the moon. Time marches on, the body changes, so does the universe. He goes on to say, and all this in a nook of this part of the world. So everything he does, even though his nook of the world was pretty much most of the known world to him, he still knew there were lands beyond those controlled by Rome, and everyone that praised him only lived in one part of the earth. And if you zoom out even further, you'll notice that the whole earth is just one tiny point in the universe. There's a whole lot of universe that knows nothing of your accomplishments. And I really like the part he says, once again, in this nook of the world, people know what I did. So, on my website, people know what I did or whatever. And even there, not everyone agrees with each other. Some people say, that was great. Some people say, you suck. And to make it even worse and more profound, you can pin down a single person out of that group, and they won't even agree with themselves. I like to turn that lens back inward and say, that's true about me. I don't agree with myself. I say, I think indifferents are indifferent. And then I'm like, ooh, box of Cheez-Its. Nom, 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 and lose temperance, right? So I don't even agree with myself fully. I'm not fully integrated in terms of my belief system and my actions. So if you're putting your hopes in people around you to remember you and to live forever and to like you, boy, that's a whole layer cake of stuff that ain't going to happen. So their bodies are going to fail. Their memories are going to fail. Their hard drives are going to crash. And they will even an individual will like you for some things and dislike you for other things. And you probably deserve that as well. So it's just impossible to wish for eternity in any sense of the word. In the next reading, he just says, attend to the matter which is before you. That's kind of like Stoic mindfulness. Be in the present. The present is the only thing you have action in. You can only take action now. And if you're thinking about the past, or you're thinking about later, you're not living. You're basically a corpse that is just sitting there. So take action. Be in the moment. And then he says, you suffer this justly. So whatever you're doing that's bugging you is just, because You wouldn't have to suffer if you had chosen to be good now instead of postponing it for tomorrow. We often do that. I know I've done that. It's like, well, I will be more temperate tomorrow, but for right now, this bottle of wine and me are going to have a big time. Or I'll be calmer tomorrow, but for right now, I got to rant about this idiot in front of me in traffic. That's doing what Seneca calls getting ready to live. You're figuring out how to live, and you're like, yeah, I'll do that, I'm going to do that, I'll do that. And then next thing you know, you're on your deathbed with hours to live, and you wonder, what happened? What's going on? I want more time. But you never put into action those principles and took advantage of the present moment when you had a present moment. And at some point, you only have 10 seconds of present moment left. And that's all you got. No amount of regret can bring it back. You have to use the now. It doesn't matter if you have 1,000 years or 20 minutes. If you can start living stoically, accepting things that are outside your power, working to be a better person, you can do it. 100 years or 20 minutes as a great person are equal in the eyes of the Stoic sage. I myself feel the ravage of time. 39 right now. I'll be 40 in February, and it's a little freaky deaky. Time marches on. My grandmother's 98. Well, she'll be 98 in October. Time marches on, and I can feel the changes, the changes that have happened to me as I get older. The achiness and the lack of energy and things, and I can see my own parents and my grandmother aging. I know that the body changes, and I know that the body is quite frail. I've witnessed a few aviation accidents, and the body is quite frail. And you never know when the end arrives. It could be while you're out enjoying yourself, like in the case of the incidents I witnessed, people having fun skydiving, and then boom, you're done. So you don't know when you'll go or how you'll go, but you don't have control over this body. Not as much as you think anyway. But you do have control over where you place your values. And trying to put your happiness on the hook of other people's praise. You can't hang it up there because that hook is fickle. Some people will love you, some will hate you. Some will love you and hate you. Some hate themselves, so why do you want them to like you? Some of them have values that are the complete opposite of yours, and yet you're worried about them giving a damn about what you think. Does that make any sense? I don't think so. We can't place our happiness, we can't cause it to depend on the opinions of others. I can't base my worth, on the feedback of this podcast, for example. Now, I've had great feedback on this podcast. It trickles in, maybe a couple emails a week. I don't have people pouring in with emails, but it's cool to hear from people, but I can't decide whether or not to do this podcast based on people saying you suck or this is really helpful. I have to do it because I find value in it. If I sat around, and I've done this some, and it's the whole social media thing, the whole, oh, did anyone like my post? Oh, did anyone comment on that? And I have to actively check that and say, no, I'm not going to do this. I wish it was more automatic where I just didn't give a damn. But I have to say, wait a minute, I have to logic my way out of it and say, this is a waste of time. I need to live in the moment. My son's playing with tractors on the floor, and I'm staring at Twitter or whatever. And who cares? My account's going to be deleted one day. The internet will all be gone one day. Maybe not for a while, but it will be gone one day, and no one will remember a damn thing about it. And yet it seems so important at the moment. So let's live now. Let's remember that we don't have much time. We might have 20 years, 40 years, or 20 minutes. But we need to make the best of what we got. We need to start living now and living well. And I will see you next week. Carpe Diem.
Thank you for listening to The Sunday Stoic. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe, rate, and review The Sunday Stoic on iTunes. Become a member of the Sunday Stoic team, earn rewards, and be an integral part of the show by becoming a patron at www.patreon.com/SundayStoic. Contact the show by emailing sundaystoic@gmail.com or by leaving a voicemail at 501-503-3132. To find out more, visit www.sundaystoicpodcast.com. And as Steve always says, Carpe Diem.